Hello, and welcome to this UW-Madison custodial back safety presentation. This presentation will focus on back safety for tasks involving material distribution. Custodians are required to perform many tasks throughout a work shift. Many of the tasks require physical activity such as reaching, pushing, carrying, and lifting supplies and materials. Many times, custodians are required to move and distribute cleaning, office, and restroom supplies, among other items, into storage from loading docks and throughout various building locations. These physical activities can pose a back safety hazard if proper preparation, tools, and techniques are not followed. As with any task, it is always important to consider possible hazards and to plan ahead for safety and success, especially tasks that require physical exertion. Physical activity requires preparation. Stretching, good posture, proper body mechanics, and appropriate tools are all important. Like with any task, proper understanding of hazards, proper planning, and proper tools may make material distribution easier and safer to complete. Always consider the amount of effort a task requires and plan ahead to perform proper body mechanics to reduce chances of injury. Custodians should avoid lifting heavy objects independently. When you approach an object, lift a corner of it to get a feel for the amount of weight. If the weight is more than you are comfortable lifting, ask a coworker for help, or use a lift or the lever action of a dolly. How you pick up and set down a load is critical for safe lifting. Another important consideration is personal protective equipment. For material distribution, personal protective equipment may include gloves, footwear, and back support belts. A good pair of gloves can provide a good grip and keep your hands blister-free. Closed-toed shoes with good support and traction are also important. If lifting heavy materials, consider steel-toed shoes to prevent injury in the event of an accidental drop of an item. And if you are lifting heavy materials, you may also consider using a supportive back belt. Talk with your physician to determine whether or not a back belt is right for you. In addition to personal protective equipment, proper tools may also be helpful. Carts and dollies can help move supplies and materials from one location to another without having to carry the back-straining weight. And pallet jacks can help move and position pallets for easier access. It is always better to start a task after you have warmed up and stretched your muscles. Before you start any physically challenging activity, take a few moments to stretch and prepare for the work. A few simple and effective stretches include the shoulder shrug, which may help reduce upper back and neck discomfort. The mid-back stretch may help reduce fatigue between the shoulder blades. The hamstring stretch may help reduce lower back discomfort. Finally, the standing back bend may help reduce lower back discomfort. When supplies and materials are delivered to your building, they are generally left on the loading dock for distribution. Custodians are often responsible for transporting these materials into storage. This task may require strenuous activities including reaching, lifting, carrying, and pushing. Whenever possible, avoid carrying heavy objects over long distances. Use a mechanical device such as a cart, dolly, or pallet jack to move the weight instead. The use of a mechanical device, however, still requires you to lift the supplies and materials onto the cart or dolly to move them. Whenever lifting heavy objects, be sure to use proper techniques. Bend with your legs, not your back. Lift slowly and consistently with your arms and legs. Keep your back straight and head in line with your shoulders and hips. Avoid twisting the trunk of your body. Instead, pivot with your feet and legs while keeping your hips square with your shoulders. Once the object has been lifted from the ground or pallet, slowly pivot with your legs to turn and set the object down on the cart or dolly. When you put the object down, you should bend with your legs, not your back. Squat down and rest the object on the cart while keeping your back straight. Minimize the amount of weight on the cart for each trip. Make several trips if necessary. Avoid trying to carry everything in one load if the weight is too heavy to manage safely. Avoid stacking items too high on carts or dollies. Overstacking may make the cart too heavy, may create a tipping hazard, and may obstruct your view. Once the materials have been safely placed onto the cart or dolly, you can safely maneuver the items to the proper storage locations. When maneuvering a cart, push rather than pull whenever possible. Pushing a load is easier on the back than pulling is. Also, pushing allows you to better see where you are going. If you cannot see around the cart because of its tall design, it might be safer to pull the cart instead. When you must pull a cart, be sure to minimize the amount of weight on the cart and make several trips, stopping frequently to look ahead to ensure the path is clear. Even better yet, ask a coworker for assistance in this situation. One worker can push the cart while the other leads the cart from the front. Once you have moved the materials into the storeroom, you might have to move them from the cart to the storage racks. Always be careful to use proper body mechanics. Bend with your legs, not your back. Keep your back straight and your head in line with your shoulders and hips. Avoid twisting your back. Instead, pivot with your feet and legs while keeping your hips square with your shoulders. Consider storing heavy and frequently used items on middle shelves to avoid having to reach or bend. This will keep frequently used items out of your danger zone, which falls below your knees and above your head. It is all right for you to use top shelves for lightweight, non-hazardous, infrequently used items. If you must retrieve a light object from the top shelf, be safety conscious and if possible, use a sturdy stepladder or mobile stairs to put yourself in the best possible position. When moving an item from a shelf in a storeroom to distribute to another area in the facility, try to slide it towards you before you attempt to lift and carry it. If the item is small and lightweight and you feel that you can carry it safely to its destination, be sure to keep the load close to your body or hug it to minimize stress on your lower back. Avoid carrying stacked items which can obstruct your vision. Ideally, you should place storeroom items onto a cart to move them to their designated areas. Follow the same techniques as before. Finally, it is important to understand that even when we are safety conscious and follow safe work practices, accidents may still occur. It is important that if you ever injure your back while performing your job, that you report it to your supervisor as soon as possible. Your supervisor will have the proper paperwork for you to fill out so that the injury is recorded and so that you can go to the doctor if a medical evaluation is necessary. With any injury, if you feel that it warrants a medical evaluation, go to your doctor or emergency room. Always be sure to indicate to your provider that the injury was job-related. As we have discussed so far in this presentation, material distribution requires proper preparation, tools, and techniques. Let's review some important highlights. Always consider the amount of effort a task requires and plan ahead for safety. Determine the potential risks and use safe work practices, proper tools, and techniques to avoid accidents and injuries. Always wear the appropriate personal protective equipment for the task you are conducting. Before you start any physically challenging activity, take a few moments to stretch and prepare for the work. Use carts and dollies to help move supplies and materials rather than trying to carry them. Push carts rather than pulling them. Pushing is easier on your back. Always be careful and aware of obstacles and uneven surfaces when transporting supplies with carts. Whenever lifting or setting down heavy objects, be sure to use proper techniques. Bend with your legs, not your back. Lift or set down items slowly and consistently with your arms and legs. Keep your back straight, your head in line with your shoulders and hips, and avoid twisting the trunk of your body. Instead, pivot with your feet and legs while keeping your hips square with your shoulders. Store heavy or frequently used materials on middle shelves. And finally, report all injuries as soon as possible to your supervisor.